Great. Before we get started, I'm gonna just pass it over to our interpreter, Maria Angelica, so she can introduce herself and open up the interpretation line.
Thank you. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es María Angélica y hoy estoy proveyendo interpretación en español con MARB Language Services. Estamos proveyendo interpretación en español porque Catalyst Miami tiene un compromiso con la justicia del lenguaje y asegurarse de que toda la información que van a compartir el día de hoy sea accesible para nosotros sin importar el idioma que hablamos. Entonces, si quieren escuchar la interpretación, pueden llamar al número 888-625-7782 y también el número va a estar en la sección de comentarios de este Facebook Live. Muchísimas gracias y por favor recuerden cuando se conecten en la línea, por favor si pueden silenciar su teléfono o ponerle mute para no escucharles y que ustedes me escuchen a mí. Muchas gracias. Good afternoon. My name is Maria Angelica, and today I will be providing interpretation in Spanish with MARB Language Services. And the reason why we're providing interpretation today is because Catalyst Miami has a commitment to language justice and ensuring that the important information that's going to be shared here today is accessible to all, regardless of the language that we speak. So if you would like to access this information in Spanish, the phone number to call is 888-625-7782. And this number will also be available in the comment section on the Facebook Live. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria Angelica. So welcome everyone to our first ever immigration info session. My name is Anna Ruth and I am a community engagement coordinator for Catalyst Miami. We wanted to host this event because we work with a lot of people that have questions on public charge. A lot of the immigration rules have been changing during COVID. So we wanted to host an info session for everyone. Before we get started, I do have some of my coworkers and colleagues here. So I'm gonna ask them to introduce themselves and just say a little bit about their programs and what they do at Catalyst. So Alyssa, if you wanna get started.
Hi there, absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa Delgado. I am a Community Prosperity Coordinator with Catalyst Miami. Happy to be here.
All right, and we'll pass it over to Ahmed.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Anna Ruth. I'm happy to be here. I'm Ahmed. I'm the Senior Director of Community Economic Development at Catalyst, which is a very long title. I wanted to just quickly introduce a couple of our programs, that deal with economic development and wealth building, and also how to become leaders in one's community. So in terms of economic development, we have a small business support program where we provide technical help to small businesses that need to get back on their feet or that want to access some kind of financial help. So if you're an existing small business and you're interested, please reach out to us. Another program that I work directly with is what we call the Worker-Owned Enterprises Program. Through that program, we help a lot of our folks learn about and build businesses that are called worker cooperatives that are owned and that are managed by the people that work there. They're run democratically. And these businesses typically live longer than other businesses that are about the same size and in the same industry, and they do a much better job of surviving economic downturns while creating paid jobs with better benefits and more productive workers. So for more info on any of these programs, please visit catalystmiami.org. I also very quickly wanted to introduce two of our what we call our leadership programs, which are courses that we host in order to help leaders in their communities, do a better job of advocating around two very important issues. One is housing. For that program, we have the Housing Equity Advocacy and Leadership, or HEAL program. That's 7 weeks long, weekly sessions, and it helps participants become advocates for affordable housing in their communities through learning about the housing crisis in Miami and receiving education around how to get involved locally. Actually, applications are open for the next cohort, which begins September 24th. And you can apply directly on catalystmiami.org. The second program we host is the Community Leadership on the Environment, Advocacy, and Resilience Program, or CLEAR. That one is 10 weeks long, weekly courses. And it helps participants become advocates as well, but for climate resilience in their communities. And that's through learning about local climate change threats and more education around how to get involved locally. And for that one, you could also visit our website. We have a lot of information about all these programs. So thank you all very much.
Great, thank you, Ahmed. Abraham, if you want to introduce yourself, a little bit about the Prosperity Team with Alyssa.
Yes, my name is Abraham, Abraham Frometa, and I am the Community Prosperity Coordinator. I'm on the health side of things. I try to organize ways that our community members can find proper health insurance clinics. I try to provide their children, if they qualify for SNAP benefits and Medicaid. And Alyssa, she, along with other coordinators that we have, they are on the wealth side. They help our community members better their credit to be able to one day purchase their homes or cars or anything like that, and to get them on the right path, especially during these times. And yeah, that's about it.
I can intervene a little bit. I'm so sorry. I thought it was only introductions to first, but basically something that Catalyst Miami is very unique about is the integration of wealth and health. And that's really important because a lot of people tend to see a disconnect when they're actually very much connected. Wealth is health and vice versa. Because sometimes if you're stressing out about your finances, your health goes down, right? Or maybe if you don't have enough finances to cover your health, or you just don't have the resources. So it's really important to know who you can go to in your community for free and get the education that you really need in order to live a truly prosperous life, hence our name Prosperity Campaign. So we definitely help with credit building, opening up a bank account, from the very basic stuff. We really have no expectation of you. All we ask is that you ask questions, and we help you along the way with anything you are facing in your life, whether it's related to your health or your wealth. We can also provide different coaching around products. So if you're trying to raise your credit, or even looking for citizenship, especially being immigrants in such a trying time, we do have a product that can help with the big cost of applying for citizenship. It's a loan that has no interest. You are not required to have this crazy high credit score. All we ask is that you do a financial coaching session with us. And there's different requirements that I can talk about. But you can reach out to us if you're interested, and that can get you that money that you need just to take that first step to get citizenship. Because I know that might be a setback for many. So we help in that aspect, that we can give you that opportunity that you might be missing in your normal life. Oh, Abraham, you're on mute.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. I did want to have Adonia and Christina introduce themselves so our audience could get to know them a little bit.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Adonia Simpson, and I direct the Family Defense Program at Americans for Immigrant Justice. If you're not familiar with us, we provide legal services to immigrants throughout South Florida. And despite the fact that our physical office is closed right now, we are still providing services. During the pandemic, a lot of immigrants have questions about what's happening, about how benefits may impact them, and we're going to address a lot of those topics tonight and also next week. But I do encourage everyone, if you have a question, make sure you're reaching out and getting accurate advice from an immigration practitioner, an immigration attorney on these issues, because everybody's case is different.
Hi, everybody. My name is Christina Francois, and I'm the Executive Director of the Office of New Americans. We are a public-private partnership that really focuses on getting as many people as possible to become U.S. citizens. In Miami-Dade alone, we have 400,000 eligible legal permanent residents, and that number increases every year. And so we partner with other organizations like Catalyst, like Americans for Immigrant Justice, to be able to offer free legal services, financial products to help you cover the fee, citizenship classes to prepare you for the interview and the test, as well as information about any upcoming immigration changes. So like, for example, since COVID started, there have been over 53 immigration policy changes. So we generally have the most up-to-date information about what's happening and what it means for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Christina. And I did want to just open it up for Annalise as well to just introduce herself.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Annalise. I am with USF, covering kids and families. We provide help for families to get health coverage, be it through the public system, Medicaid, Medicare, Healthy Kids, Kid Care, as well as navigator services to help families get covered through the Affordable Care Act, or what is normally called Obamacare. So thank you so much for including.
Perfect. Thank you, Annalise. But so we're just gonna get kicked off with some questions for Christina. And so there's a few questions, a few people that wanted to know a little bit about what is the public charge rule. And then they were just wanting to know what is the current status of that and how does it affect them?
Well, there's a lot of different information out there, so I'm so happy to answer this. So first, what exactly is the public charge rule itself? And then I'll go into like, what are the things that would actually, the types of statuses that it applies to. So firstly, when you're applying for an immigration benefit, so whether it's a visa or a green card or a special, well, really a visa or a green card is pretty much what you got. You have to go through a process with either somebody at the US consulate or an immigration officer in the United States. And so one of the things that they evaluate, depending on the type of benefit you're applying for, is to see if you're going to be a public charge. Are you going to use public benefits for the entire time that you are in that you're residing in the United States? So one of the things, and this is something that has been a part of our immigration system for a long time. However, the definition of what exactly constitutes a public charge is what has changed over time. And right now it's the strictest and the most broad that it has been. So for the people who are wondering, okay, so does this apply to me? This really only applies if you are, you have a family-based petition. And so you have a family member that's petitioning for you to get a green card. You have, you had an employment-based visa, and now it's time for you to switch over to your green card. We call it adjusting. So it's when you are adjusting from a visa to a green card, basically, is how I like to explain it. And then if you are a green card holder and you spend a lot of time outside of the country, every time you come back, whether it's by land, sea, or plane, when you get to immigration, when you get off of the plane, they really actually like check to see that you still qualify to maintain your green card. And so this is one of the factors that they're going to look at to say, okay, you've had public benefits for a very long time. And so actually, maybe you are a public charge, even though at the time we gave you a green card, we didn't think you were. So I would say if you have a green card and have been out of the country for more than 180 days, that's when you should be concerned. But other than that, if you're not in one of those three groups, you don't need to worry about this whole conversation about public charge, because I know that a lot of people freak out about it, but really it's the time, like I like to say, and Adonia totally hop in and correct me, but like if you had a family-based or employment-based visa and are now applying for your green card, that is when they'll make that evaluation. I was waiting for the head nod to make sure. Okay, and so one of the things that they evaluate, it's not just, okay, well, I had SNAP, and so automatically that means public charge is going to apply to me. They actually have a whole set of criteria that they use to make a determination on if you will be a public charge or not. And they take into effect your income, if you have a job, your health, if you have a high school diploma, and like family relationships and stuff like that. And so that's, it gets into the nitty gritty. I would say if you are questioning it, definitely go to a qualified attorney to be able to have conversations about if you are worried that this does apply to you. And I always recommend folks to Americans for Immigrant Justice, and make a quick plug that you can call 305-573-1106, extension 1400. I wrote it down, so I made sure that I could say it. So when in doubt, go to an attorney to make sure that they can answer your questions, and don't just assume. So don't disenroll yourself or your family because you think, oh no, now I'm going to be in deportation proceedings or something like that. Don't do that.
Exactly. I think Christina, you nailed it. If people take one message home, don't disenroll for any benefits for yourself or for your children. A lot of immigrants actually aren't eligible for benefits, and those personally, and those who are tend to not be subject to the public charge test when they're seeking to adjust their status or when they're seeking to get their green card. So you shouldn't have fear about this, particularly for your US citizen children. Don't disenroll. If you have any doubts, if you are nervous, talk to somebody.
So that's the first question.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And you did mention SNAP, but then I just wanted to ask, what benefits or programs would fall under the public charge rule? Is it just SNAP benefits, or are there others?
So there is a list, but you may feel like this list is long, but there are a whole universe of benefits that you can get that don't apply. So only focus on the following. So if it's any supplemental nutritional program, so that's SNAP, EBT, food stamps, that would apply. If you get Section 8 housing voucher or assistance, or a housing voucher that comes from federal dollars. If you have Medicaid, there is an exemption for anything related to COVID. If you are a pregnant woman, if you are a child under 21, doesn't apply to you. But if you are not one of those populations, then Medicaid, regular Medicaid, would be one of the programs. And then for cash assistance programs like SSI, TANF, and any general cash assistance. So I like to say, and I know that as a member of the community, you don't always know where the money is coming from, but as a practitioner and like folks that are advocates in the community, anything that's federal dollars is really like the flag to see that you shouldn't, that may be used to qualify for the public charge rule. So all of the programs that I listed are federal programs. So their money's coming from the federal government versus like free and reduced lunch or other local, your Jackson card or things like that are actually funded either by the municipal government or the state government. So that is okay. So if it's not one of the things I said, you should be good.
And even if it's not one of I get a lot of questions at AI Justice. We get a lot of questions, particularly now during the pandemic, about food banks. That's not included. WIC benefits, also not part of the public charge determination. What other ones? The pandemic EBT benefits that we've been seeing, not part of the public charge determination. Unemployment, also not considered. Unemployment is an earned benefit. You earn that. And then also for individuals that receive the stimulus payment, it's considered a tax credit, also not something to be considered. So those are a lot of the questions that we get at the office. So if it wasn't one of the things Christina listed, it shouldn't be an issue.
I wanted to, if I may, I wanted to add, which is also a concern that I see that a lot of families have, the tax credits from the Affordable Care Act through the marketplace also are not included. So, and something important, there are also some populations that that public charge does not apply to, like refugees, asylees, or human trafficking, or victims of human trafficking, etc.
Yeah, and like Christina mentioned from the get-go, it's really looking at people that are seeking to adjust or change their status, generally on family or an employment-based pathway. So if you have any sort of humanitarian benefits, you're an asylee, a refugee, as Annalise mentioned, there's not a public charge determination. So this gets really complicated and it's confusing for a lot of people. And again, just don't not take benefits or disenroll from benefits because of this.
So I guess I'll I'll ask one of the other questions that we have here. So this one is more along the lines of the stimulus check. It's do people qualify for stimulus checks even if they're undocumented or are residents? How does that work?
Don't you want to take it?
I'll take this one, sure. What was unfortunate about the last round of stimulus relief that we saw is there were many families that were left out of benefits. To be able to receive the stimulus payment, you had to have a social security number and be in the system. So what we saw happen, and this was really unfortunate for mixed status families, was perhaps one adult in the tax filing household was undocumented and maybe filed taxes with an ITIN as opposed to a social security number. What we saw happen during the last round of stimulus was that the whole family was excluded from benefits, including any US citizen or resident or TPS holding spouses and children. So that's what's so important about this next round of stimulus relief. The version of relief that passed the House did fix this issue and close this hole. When it comes to the Senate version, however, there's still very much lacking for mixed status households. Senator Rubio did introduce legislation that would partially fix this issue. I know a lot of organizations right now are actually looking for individuals who've been impacted by this situation, where in a mixed status family, there was individuals that didn't receive the stimulus payment, even though they've been paying taxes and filing taxes. So to answer the question, it was a little bit roundabout, but for unfortunately folks that had filed with an ITIN or did not have a social security number would not receive the stimulus payment, and neither would their household members, their tax filing household members. So again, I encourage you to reach out to local organizations if you're impacted by this, because we need your stories to elevate them, to show what an issue this is, particularly now, given the pandemic and the difficulties many families are facing.
Yeah, I would just add that this is a great opportunity to make your voices heard to elected officials, for them to know that, you know, this is the impact of the fine print, right? in rushing to pass a bill and to help as many people as possible. There were some people that were left out, and I know that there are some senators that are trying to pass something to at least get the US citizen spouses and children to get the stimulus that there's owed to them. So stay tuned for that. But I would recommend reaching out to organizations like Catalyst, like the Florida Immigrant Coalition and Americans for Immigrant Justice and We Count, that are doing advocacy around making sure that everybody is included in relief programs.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. That's something that we've heard a lot of recently at the budget hearings, but I guess this is a little bit related to this topic. Are there any pandemic assistance programs that undocumented people qualify for?
So unfortunately, monetary assistance, no. So one of the things is that, and it goes back to, again, where the money is coming from. So federal dollars, basically it was written into the CARES Act, the various CARES Acts, that federal dollars could not be spent on folks that were undocumented. So even the money that counties and states receive to be able to do direct assistance excluded folks. However, it's another thing to advocate for at the county commission and at the state legislature, is to say that actually with state and local dollars, local governments can provide public programs to communities that were excluded from the initial programs. I know that there are a lot of organizations and groups that have mutual aid funds. So I know that the Black Collective has a mutual aid fund. I know that the Smile Trust does, We Count does, the Florida Immigrant Coalition does, Catalyst Miami does. And so there are definitely community organizations that are filling in the gap. So I know that on our website, on the Office of New Americans.org, we have an extensive page on COVID relief. It's actually like on our homepage. So you can see all of the different COVID relief options for folks who are immigrants, depending on your status. So we flag like what's eligible for undocumented folks, or folks that are on visas, or students, or whatever it may be.
And I would encourage, if people are in mixed status families and you have children that are US citizens, the public charge rule has created a chilling effect and has created a lot of fear in the community. There are benefits and safety net programs out there for children. So I really encourage people to seek these benefits. They're here for a reason, particularly now during the pandemic. People should be seeking out any assistance for their family members they can get.
And one of the things is, if you are a green card holder, you are eligible for some of these things. So people may, think that, oh, well, it excludes immigrants and so it doesn't apply to me. But I would say that if you do have a green card, do see that, for example, the city of Miami has had a rental assistance program to pay your landlord for, should you be facing eviction or having issues. That was something that folks with green cards could apply for. And the same thing for some of the assistance that came out of the county. So there are some things, just not for undocumented folks, but there are some options. If you're a mixed status household, you could still be eligible for that.
Perfect. I do have one more question. So what happens if like an undocumented person wanted to get COVID testing but didn't have an ID? What would be their options currently?
So according to the Florida Health Department, you should be able to get a COVID test. The only thing is that they will ask, some testing sites ask for an ID, but it does not mean it has to be a driver's license or a state ID. It can be your passport, or even, so most likely a passport from your home, from another country would be sufficient, as long as it's a photo ID. So definitely don't let that stop you from getting a test, and there's no insurance requirement. So again, if you are undocumented and you are uninsured, you can still get a COVID test, and that information will not be held against you. It's not going to be recorded anywhere, strictly for public health purposes. So you should be fine.
And just a plug for Florida Health Justice Project. A lot of our organizations are part of a Protecting Immigrant Families collaborative, working to get information out about public charge and really try to combat the chilling effects. But the Florida Health Justice Project has started some work around people that may receive surprise bills from medical providers that are COVID related. In the CARES Act, there was no funding that was allocated specifically for immigrants to receive, or for undocumented individuals to receive COVID-related testing, but the money did go to a lot of healthcare providers and public health institutions that should be picking up and helping cover some of the costs of the uninsured or uninsurable. So we're happy to share the flyers for Florida Health Justice if people are, getting testing or receiving services and treatment, and then get a surprise bill related to this.
Great, thank you so much. That would actually be great, so we can have that and so we can provide that to them if they need it. Thank you so much. So the next question I have is, so if a undocumented person wanted to participate in the census, would the government know that they're undocumented? How should they go about that?
So first, definitely complete the census. Please, please, please. We're only at like 57% reporting. So for those of you that don't know, like anything that has to do with, our local government functioning or representation in Congress, or a state legislature, all of that is decided by the census. So if folks don't fill it out, we don't get the representation that we need or the dollars to run our schools, our fire departments, all of the things that make local government work. Those are all our tax dollars and appropriations. That said, per the Constitution, anybody who is physically in the United States during the census is required to complete the census. There's no mention of immigration status. Just fill it out. So now answering is my information going to be shared or they're going to find me? They are not. So what I like to say is that it's macro data. Also, there's no interagency sharing of the information for at least like 50 years, if ever, depending on the agency. So you can fill it out. There's no citizenship question. So there's no question on the actual census that asks about your immigration status. So baseline, they're not straight up asking you what your status is. Secondly, if for whatever reason they were to try to cross-reference it with anything like that, like they wouldn't have that information for 50+ years to even do that. So don't worry. I know that for the past year and a half, there had been like so much stress and tension about whether this was going to be on there and wanting to exclude the count from like the final count with the latest presidential memo, but all of that is irrelevant. Complete the census.
I have a question for you when it comes to the census. What about people that may have multiple family units living in a home, in an address? How does that work?
So that is a great question because Miami is the land of like mixed. I'm not going to see illegal apartments, but really, it's a house that's cut up into multiple units. So there are a couple of ways to go about it. So number one, the information that is sent to the census is not shared with your landlord, is not shared with the police. So there is no, like, if there are more people in the home than like what you told your landlord or what the landlord has been paying taxes on, like that information is not shared. So don't worry. The other thing is that logistically, right now we're in the final stretch for the census. The deadline to complete it is September 30th. And so you can go online and you don't have, there are going to be canvassers knocking at your door. They have an ID to prove that they're a census worker. So if somebody just says that they work for the census, make sure that you see their badge. But so they're at the door knocking stage. But if you just want to make sure that everybody in the unit is counted, you can go onto my2020census.gov and enter in your information yourself, and you can add the unit number. So like your address with the unit number. So whether it's like A, B, C, whatever, or 1, 2, 3, you can actually have that correct information.
And I think I heard somewhere like maybe where there's different rooms, like different families, maybe in different rooms, you count the whole household. Is that correct?
Yes. So if it's one unit with multiple families, you would put the like every occupant. And if I know that there's like, oh well, if they're like students that aren't there, you would put them, if they're home because of COVID, like you would put them in the household. Think about it as like anybody who would use the water and electricity in the house. Those are who should be counted on the form.
Would this is a question that just came into mind. If there's a student that's just here, I guess like temporarily just to study, would they be counted in the census as well?
They should be, yeah. So you would complete it for the physical address that you're at the moment. So if you're on campus, then that would be where you complete it. If you're at home or, you know, renting someplace or with a friend, you would be counted there.
That's good to know. I've already completed my census.
I got the door knock this weekend, so I'm like, I know that it's real and I know what they look like.
So one of the questions that I've been getting here is that there's, I don't know if this is a rumor or if this is happening, that immigration has stopped processing applications up until December. I don't know if either of you know if that's real or not, or.
No, we did see some closures with USCIS, which is U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service, and they do the affirmative benefits processing. So this is the agency that processes your naturalizations, your green cards, U visas, asylum applications like that. They were closed for several months. However, they were still working. We still saw applications being processed. We were seeing DACA applications processed in 10 days, which was kind of amazing. But since the physical offices have reopened, they have restarted doing interviews. And at least in Miami, in our area, and I think this is pretty consistent nationwide, is the priority is to work on trying to address the citizenship backlog. So the people that maybe applied last year and their interview got postponed or it wasn't scheduled, they are slowly working on completing those interviews and swearing in ceremonies. We've been told that the next level of priority, at least here in the local office for interviews, would be employment-based cases. And then next, adjustment of status cases based on family petitions. So what that means is if you're eligible to apply for an immigration benefit and you've spoken to an attorney and you're sure that there's not any issues or potential considerations or downside to applying, get the application in. Yes, there are delays. Yes, given some of the funding issues that we've been seeing, we may see increased delays. However, get the application in now. And I'm sure, Christina, you might want to mention citizenship and why it's so important to get applications in now when it comes to citizenship.
Yeah, so one of the things that has happened that is not a rumor is that fees are going up October 3rd across the board for the majority of immigration benefits. There are a couple that like go down by a couple of dollars, but overwhelmingly they go up. And for citizenship in particular, it's going up by $525, which is 80%. So we are having a 4-day virtual clinic next week, the 16th to the 19th, to get as many applications done as possible for free. We also have a scholarship program to actually, we're going to be paying for people's application fees and doing fee waivers because we know that a lot of folks, generally in election years, more people apply because it's in their mind that like, oh, this is one of the few things I can't do as a green card holder. And with the closures that happened this summer and like the miscommunication of people thinking that immigration was closed and not accepting things, people didn't apply. So now that people realize, oh crap, it is open, we want to make sure that people apply before October 3rd. So before the new fees hit. So you definitely, even if you don't use our free clinic, submit your application and mail it priority mail to make sure that it is postmarked way before October 3rd so that there are no shenanigans, so that like you don't find out that actually you need more money and your application is denied or anything like that. So apply now.
Yeah, and keep track if you have filed for an application and it's been a really long time, make sure you're taking a look at the receipt number that's on your physical receipt that you get from immigration. You can plug that in online to check your case status, to see what's happening. If it's outside of processing, you can always call customer service to check in. So despite the pandemic, immigration, USCIS is still working. They are still processing cases. I do want to draw one distinction between USCIS, which processes the affirmative applications, with the immigration court. Some immigration courts have reopened. The immigration court here in Miami is actually still closed for in-person hearings. So that means if you were supposed to go to court, maybe for your asylum case, you need to call the 800 number to check to see if it's been rescheduled. And that phone number for the immigration court, it's an automated number. You just need your immigration, your A number, which is a 9-digit number to call to check your hearing date. That phone number is 800-898-7180. So if you do have court, you want to make sure that you're checking to ensure that it's continued, to ensure you know when the new date is. Because eventually when the immigration court in Miami does reopen, if you miss your court date, the judge could order you removed in absentia or order you deported because you're not there.
Mhm.
Thank you. And we've actually been getting a few questions through our Facebook Live. So one of them is, where can people find the current fees and cost of current citizen application and everything?
I always recommend USCIS's website. Make sure you're going to uscis.gov, not .com, not any other variation. There are a lot of shady, fraudulent websites out there that may charge people money to get forms that are for free. But USCIS's website is really phenomenal. You can find fees on there. You can find the forms, instructions for the forms. Even if you just Google USCIS fees, it will take you to a part of the website that has a list of all the fees. So I highly recommend going directly to the source, which is USCIS.gov.
And generally, I would say as a rule of thumb, just anything immigration related, I would say anything ending in .gov would be your first bet. And if it's .gov or .org, and anything else should be like proceed with caution.
No, thank you. And another question we've been getting, and I think this is in reference to the citizenship clinics that were mentioned. Are they restricted to applicants who applied through the free clinic, or is it open to anyone?
So the clinic is open to anyone to get assistance during those days. So you sign up for an appointment to get a one-on-one with an attorney to actually fill out your application, and if you need a fee waiver, to do the fee waiver. And it's open to anybody. Since it's 100% virtual, we're actually accepting people all over Florida and, you know, some people that are outside of Florida. So definitely take advantage of it, but you don't need to have come to us for any other services before. Just register online or call we have a hotline number to answer any citizenship related questions and to sign you up.
And if you have some free time and want to get involved and volunteer, I know Christina still needs some volunteers to help out with the tech side of things, to help out with some of the follow-up, to check in with people before the clinic. So if you have some free time and want to give back to the community, you should reach out about volunteering.
Thank you for the plug.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna ask Maria Angelica, are there any questions on your line? Nope. All right, I'll check the Facebook one more time. Well, give me one. So I just, I'm looking at a question right now, and it says, for the clinics, is it also a free consultation? Or?
So it is not for, how do I say this? So you can call the hotline and you'll get a consultation on the phone to see if you're eligible or not. And then you'll get additional information. And then you'll have and we know that not everybody may be finished during the clinic. So in that sense, yes, you will be getting a consultation with legal advice on like, you actually need this additional documentation, or upon further information, you may not be eligible.
Excuse me,
And
this is the interpreter. Can you please slow down a bit?
oh, sorry.
Thank you so much.
So to repeat slower, for the clinic, you can get a consultation over the phone. So the phone number is 888-839-82. Wait, sorry. Let me read that again. 888-839-8682. There you can get a consultation. And then they'll make an appointment for you to actually sit down with the lawyer to do the application. And if anything comes up, it'll be addressed then.
And keep in mind, this is for people that are looking to naturalize, so green card holders that are looking to become citizens. If you have other questions or concerns about getting immigration status, or trying to a potential issue with your immigration status, or maybe you are in court proceedings, there's a lot of great organizations that are still providing services remotely. At AI Justice, we are doing free consultations remotely via phone. You'll be contacted by a volunteer who will complete an intake, and then later by an attorney that would provide the advice and give you an orientation about the situation and what options you have. I also know that Catholic Legal Services is providing intake and consultation. So, you know, again, if you have questions, make sure you're going to a reputable immigration provider or attorney to get advice, particularly now, because as Christina mentioned, policies are constantly changing. It can be very confusing. It can be very concerning. And I know that a lot of people are very afraid to do anything because they don't want to take a misstep that might put them in a worse position. So to avoid that, if it's citizenship related and you're looking to become a US citizen, the Office of New American Citizenship Clinic is a great place for you. But if it's other immigration issues, please reach out to a local legal services provider or legal immigration attorney.
Yeah, thank you for that. And this question just came in. There's someone on Facebook that wants to be a volunteer. She's a lawyer, so can you share that information?
I don't know, we both have the same reaction. Yes, we need you.
Where can they?
So where can they do that? Yes, sorry, that's important. So it's officeofnewamericans.org/virtual volunteer, or you can text virtual volunteer to, yes, is it virtual volunteer? I think it is. Yes, it is virtual volunteer. All of the codes are going into my mind at 72572. So that's the sign up link. And if you go on our Facebook page, I believe we commented on the Facebook event, and I'll go back in the comments and put it. We actually just made a post about looking for volunteers. So you can click on there and it'll take you directly to the link.
And for any attorneys out there, Christina and her team put together a lot of continuing legal education videos to get you up to speed on some of the more technical issues of citizenship. So you can get some CLE credits, and it's a great way to get involved. It's really on your schedule, which now it's 2-hour shifts, so you can jump in for 2 hours and help a client, and it's a great way to give back.
Great. So I think we're gonna start wrapping up. I don't see any more questions coming in. So I wanted to thank all of you for being here and being part of this. And Abraham, I think you wanted to share something.
Yeah. I just wanted to just remind everyone a little bit of what we do at Catalyst Miami. We really just try to help community residents to be healthy and financially secure. And if you're have any doubts or need any help in applying for Medicaid or food stamps or SNAP benefits, You can just give me a call to my office number. That number is 786-414-1308. Again, that's 786-414-1308. And we can talk about your situation, if you qualify or your family qualifies. And also just wanted to remind everyone that next Thursday, September 17th, at the same time at 6 o'clock, we'll be doing this again. So if you have any questions, just email them to us, and we'll have the answers ready.
And you can email any questions if you don't feel comfortable participating on our Facebook Live or anything to my colleague, Marianne. Her email is marianner@catalystmiami.org. We'll share it on our Facebook Live in the comments and on the event page, so you can always reference back to it. Christina and Adonia and Annalise, thank you so much for being part of this and taking time out of your day. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Me as well. Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone. Bye.